Hi, everyone. I'm Jamie Vaughn with How She Got There, a Next In podcast. And today we are joined by our special guest, Dr. Amy Harris, who is a professor at Middle Tennessee State University, teaching the graduate program there in technology. And we are going to talk today about being a woman in tech and how she got there. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Hi, I'm well. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Now, I always ask everybody, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
Oh, I had no idea. When I first went to college, I was a music education major,
Okay.
and so stayed in that major until second semester of sophomore year when I took my first education class and was like, okay, I don't think this is really my scene.
Okay.
So at that point, I declared a double major in communications, and I really thought that I would go into PR. My first job out of college was as a newspaper reporter.
Mhm.
So yeah, it went in a lot of different directions before I ultimately hopped over and wound up in politics, and then politics led me to tech. So
Well, let's
it was not a straight path by any stretch.
that is what we're finding. And that's what we hope to do with this podcast is show everybody that technology jobs are very accessible and no one has to have a certain career path to get there. So tell me how that career path started from going to being a reporter to now being in tech and being a professor at MTSU.
Yeah, so that first job as a reporter, I always thought that I didn't really see myself staying on the news side of it. Again, like I went to a small school where you majored in journalism/PR,
Right?
and I always thought that I'd wind up on the PR side. But that first opportunity wound up being with a small daily newspaper in Meridian, Mississippi, which
Mhm.
I'm from Mississippi. So through that and through some connections in college, I happened to know the woman who was running the campaign for the then sitting lieutenant governor's gubernatorial campaign, and wound
Mhm.
up getting an offer to go to work on that campaign as their scheduler. And that really started a multi-year stretch working in politics. I
Mhm.
absolutely loved it. Never really wanted to work like on the government side. I loved campaigns and the energy there, and just the feeling that you're changing the world, and it's very
Yeah.
boots on the ground. But what you come to find out is that if you don't want your job to end every second Tuesday in November, you've got to make some decisions to either go to work in government or move into working for consulting companies that kind of
Right.
help support those campaigns. And that was the decision that I made. My first job on the consulting side was with a political direct mail company, and then my boss there knew the co-owners of a fundraising company, McLean Clark, which is the company that hired me and ultimately brought me to Tennessee,
Gotcha.
because the managing partner of that firm, Jeff Clark, lived in Murfreesboro, and so a condition of taking that job was moving to Middle Tennessee. So he also happened to be a professor at MTSU in the Department of Information Systems and Analytics. So he made the suggestion to me that I take a graduate level class to help round out my tech skill sets, because even though we were a fundraising firm, we were a technology leveraged fundraising firm. So when you hired us, you not only got the strategic consulting, but you also got a finance director embedded on the ground with your campaign, and we delivered a turnkey relational database management system to help manage that fundraising process end to end. And so when I moved into the role of operations director, I became, little companies, you get to wear a lot of hats, but
Yeah.
I became tech support. I had to learn a lot just on the fly about how databases work and how you support them, and how to train people when we onboarded new clients. So he suggested that I take a course, and I did, and I absolutely loved it. And I actually decided that I wanted to go part-time with the company, become a full-time student. So I wound up going back to school full-time to get my master's. And it was really Jeff's encouragement. It's we hear so much talking about how important mentorship and sponsorship is, and he was and is still both of those things for me. And it was really him that set me on the path to pursuing a PhD and winding up where I am.
So what do you do at MTSU?
So I am on faculty in the Department of Information Systems and Analytics. So I teach courses particularly in our business intelligence and analytics track. And I'm also the graduate program director for our master's degree in information systems and analytics. I've been doing that for the past couple of years.
Gotcha. So when I was doing research on you, I saw that you had created Middle Tennessee Tech. Tell me a little bit about that.
So I've always loved data. And, in the mid 2000s, when I really started engaging with the broader Nashville technology community, I'd be at Nashville Technology Council events, and you'd hear these statistics being thrown out about, we've got 2,000 open jobs, and I'm always just very curious about, where's that data coming from? Like, what's the source for that? And how are they defining tech? Because that's what that definition is, can have a lot of impact on what the numbers are. Right. There's the very narrow definition, which unfortunately is the one that I think the public at large has in mind, that when you talk about tech, you're talking about software programming, and it's only software programming. It's some person in a hoodie in a dark room just writing code and figuring out how to hack some system. And I mean, do those people exist, and do we need them, and are they part of tech? Absolutely, they are. But that is just one of this wide variety of tech careers and tech adjacent careers. I mean, tech is an ecosystem, and it takes a wide variety of talents and skill sets to keep that ecosystem up and running. Right. And so that was my mentality behind it. So I struck up some conversations with the folks at the NTC, and in 2018, we launched the partnership between MTSU and the NTC to provide an annual State of the Middle Tennessee Tech Workforce report that reports on jobs considered our definition of tech, which is that broader definition that encompasses not only the traditional tech jobs, like database administrators, software programmers, computer network experts, but also business analysts and IT project managers and data analysts and data engineers, all of these other, we tried to find our definition of tech that sat at the intersection of tech, mathematics, business, to really try to capture that whole ecosystem. And so we have been producing that report every year since 2018, and occasionally we'll do deep dives into certain subspecialties to explore the data. But we're just tremendously proud of that work, and the fact that we're able to provide that service to our community, because there are a lot of cities out there, peer cities, that are flying blind in terms of the state of their tech workforce. And we're fortunate enough that through this project that we're able to provide that to Greater Nashville. And tremendously proud of that work, and excited to dig in on this year's report coming up in a couple of weeks.
That does sound exciting. So I know that growing up, tech jobs weren't something that I even thought about. My life was more in the arts, but I kind of wish now that I had have seen those jobs and women in those positions. How do we inspire that next generation, or that the women now who are trying to think about changing that career path into technology? How do we, one, make it not so scary, and two, make it accessible?
Well, I think that increased visibility, and this is a place where I really do feel like technology gives us the ability to do things that we couldn't do. I mean, I grew up in a very small rural town in Mississippi. I never could have even conceived of the types of jobs and the things that I do every day as a kid, because there was just absolutely no model for it.
Mm-hmm.
But now through the development of remote programming, and I think that, when you get into the real fundamentals, things like making sure that there's universal access to broadband, so
Mm-hmm.
that people in rural communities, you don't have to physically be in a community to be able to communicate. I
Right.
will put in a plug for the work that the education team at the National Technology Council and what they're doing right now. They've got a number of grants that are focused on reaching out to students, middle, high school students
Mm-hmm.
in these rural areas to educate them and expose them to these tech jobs. They did a high school level Shark Tank competition about a month ago, and I was able to be a judge for that. And it was just amazing to see these kids' ideas and just be in awe of what they're being exposed to. And so I think more of that, trying really hard to engage not just in the metropolitan areas.
Mm-hmm.
We've got tech deserts in the metropolitan areas that we need to focus on those, but also leveraging the content and the fact that we do now have the technology to be able to do stuff like this and have and interact with people across huge distances to be able to bring those ideas to people where they are. I also think that there are huge opportunities for job prospects. I mean, the rural community I grew up in was very much so a manufacturing community. And we've seen over the course of the past few decades that towns like the one I grew up in, when manufacturing left, the towns died. They're very much so struggling. And so you've got people there who are frustrated, they can't find work. If we can expose them to tech and give them the tools and the skill sets, and then if they still want to go, especially post-pandemic, now that if there's a silver lining, it's that people don't have such a bad view of remote work. And just think about the value that it could add to those communities to have people living there in very high wage jobs, still able to be there and be a part of their community, but be able to have a job that allows them to move up that ladder. I see tremendous opportunities there. And just in the public at large, and how you get more, more females engaged. I think that it's programming like that. I also think that in general, it's not just females, it's all types of people getting the word out again that tech is a big tent. It isn't just programming. Not to say that women and minorities can't be excellent programmers too. There's absolutely there. It's just about breaking down the stereotypes and getting more people interested and not self-eliminating from programs because they don't see anybody there that looks like them. But just educating folks about the wide variety of tech jobs so that they don't just write it off automatically before they even give it a shot. I think it really is going to take kind of a broad approach from multiple perspectives to change it. But I think that we are in a time and place where we have the technological capabilities to change it. And I also think that there is a strong will to change it. And it's the combination of those two that can really move the needle.
Yep. I love that. I also think that sometimes we get too wrapped up in looking and going, I don't see me there. Well, why don't you go be you there? If you really want something, make it happen. Push that door open, break that ceiling, keep going. So tell me the best career advice you ever received.
The best career advice. Follow your heart. If something doesn't feel right, then it's probably not right. Don't spend a lot of time trying to talk yourself into fitting somewhere that either doesn't feel right culturally or doesn't feel like the role and what you would be doing. I mean, ultimately, how you spend your day is how you spend your life. Right. So make sure you're spending your life in a way that allows you to find your true north and follow it.
What inspires you?
Helping, contributing to the community, feeling as though I'm part of something larger than myself. I love the work I do at MTSU, but I will say the best thing that I've done in the past decade to increase my job and life satisfaction is getting involved with Women in Technology Tennessee. It's just a fantastic organization, and I am so proud of the work we've done and so incredibly honored to be in my term as president. And it's just every day you wake up and it's like you're trying to figure out new scholarships or how to, give money to people to do good things. And it's just like, pinch me. How does this, like, I'm so lucky that this is what I get to do every day.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how would they do that? And how would somebody get involved in the Women in Technology in Tennessee program?
So to get in touch, there are multiple ways. My WIT email address is prez@wittn.org, and our website is wittn.org. You can join from the website. There are individual members. We have around 300 members right now, and are able to do a lot of the work that we do through our amazing corporate mission partners. So companies have the opportunity to get involved through mission partnerships, and then students. And it's, of course, women is our primary focus, but you don't have to be a woman to be a member. We would love, we love men as members too, because no matter which part of the DEI conversation you're having, the needle's never going to move unless you have allies that are in different groups. So yeah, you can join. We have student memberships, different tiers of individual memberships. We do monthly professional development and networking meetings. We do have scholarships. Our scholarships range all the way from high school up to folks pursuing graduate degrees. We have professional development scholarships for people who might not be in school, but they might be wanting to go for a certification or attend a conference or something like that. And if they can't get full funding through work, we have scholarships available for that. We also have community outreach, or something I'm very excited about. Coming up July 25th through the 27th, we have our Girls Who Tech 3-day camp that's for rising middle and high school girls. We're having it on Belmont's campus this year, but it's really designed to do some of what we've been talking about in terms of exposing young girls to tech and maybe changing their perception of what that means, and spending some time doing things that might inspire them to pursue that degree.
Oh, I love that. Amy, this has been a really great conversation. Cannot wait to dive into women in technology and see what we can do there as well. Everybody, if you like what you've heard, make sure to hit the subscribe button below. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.